Hello, everyone. I am so happy to be here today. I am the founder and director of Out of Egypt Network. We provide intervention and prevention regarding human trafficking and illegal sexual exploitation. We also speak out for and assist victims and survivors whenever we can. And we search for and create innovative ways to make a way for rescue for victims that would normally not be found. And we're working on some things now that we're really excited about, and we know they're going to make a difference. So before we start, I want to give you a definition of human trafficking, just in case for those of you who don't know. So human trafficking is the transportation, harboring, or obtaining of a person for labor or commercial sex acts by force, fraud, or coercion. Now, many people call it modern-day slavery, and it sounds a little cleaned up to me, so I want to explain. The passing of time has definitely assisted perpetrators and traffickers. There is cameras everywhere. They're used for stalking and filming, of course, but they're on everyone's cell phones. Everyone can buy a hidden camera. There's the internet. The internet can send a picture or a film of a victim across the world in a matter of seconds. So if she escaped, she could be recognized anywhere in the world. There are drugs that induce complete control over a person or used to keep them quiet or even wipe out their memory. And there's travel. You can move a human being across the country or around the world in a matter of hours. However, the brutality of human trafficking, it's more barbaric than it's ever been. The cunning and silence only make it accessible to those who agree to participate in one way or another. Now, did you know that you could be participating in slavery? You may be thinking, well, if I bought a chocolate bar or a cup of coffee that was produced by a slave, maybe. But what if I told you that you could be involved or participating in sex slavery without even knowing it? So it seems I have a bit of a journey to take you on. It's one that involves your only thought is survival. Your whole world is surviving. So everyday thoughts like, what am I going to wear tomorrow? Or what Netflix series can I binge on tonight? Or what did she post? And why? These thoughts are non-existent in the world of slavery. Instead, they're replaced by thoughts like, who are these people and why have they taken me? How will I escape? Plotting each and every moment on how to get out. And whom, if anyone, can I trust? But there are miracles. And there are victories. And there are those who escape. And I am one of them. I grew up in a 2-story house in suburbia. It was the best street, I thought, anywhere. All the families knew each other, all the kids knew each other. But when I was 14 years old, my parents got a divorce. Now, in a divorce, the children can kind of get lost because of the emotions and the transition of the family. And I think what was neglected for me mostly was my future. I mean, I did really good. I got on the dean's list, but no one asked me what I wanted to do with my life, or did I want to go to college? And so I got jobs, and I made it through, and I had this really good job, and I worked my way up, and then they had a labor dispute. Excuse me. I was so stressed out that I went on an audition, several auditions. I had no dance experience, and I went and ended up working for one of the largest fitness companies. Now, this is a real picture of the real ad. I worked for one of the top companies in America as an independent contractor, and it was one of the best times of my life. And then I was married at the age of 23. Now, I never planned on leaving my husband. I never wanted to go through the heartbreak of divorce like my parents did. So, wait for it, I married a rock and roll singer. I know it's not the best atmosphere for a relationship, but we fell in love. And girls, he sang to me all the time. It wasn't fair. And so the good days of my marriage were like a dream. It was so wonderful. The bad days, when they came, and they began to come more often, let me know that I had to go. And after 3 years, I divorced my husband. Yeah, that's him. It's a little blurry, but so is the marriage. So, I never planned on leaving him. So here I was. I got a divorce, and I got hit by a car, and then they told me I couldn't dance. So I lost my home, I lost my marriage, and I lost my career. Now, I thought I was going to have my career for a long time, and I thought I was going to have my husband even longer. So I was devastated, and I was so sad. And I didn't know what to do. And I literally couldn't eat for like 6 months. I lost so much weight, they almost put me in the hospital. Just didn't want to eat. But I went out with my girlfriends to a rock and roll club. And it was in our hometown in suburbia, but on the outskirts. But everybody knew each other. Some famous people came in, and it was really well known, but everybody knew each other, and it was kind of family. And the girl there that held jam nights, she was great. I loved her. She became my friend, and she kept wanting me to sing because she knew I sang with my husband, and I thought, well, I don't sing that good, and I sing guy songs, and my range isn't that great. And so she took me on as a project and built up my confidence, and I sang with her. Well, one day she called me, and she said, we're going to go outside of town, 20 minutes away, just to the next town, to a little bar, and we're going to hold a new jam night there. Will you come and sing with me? And I said, sure. Now, at this time, I was staying with a friend, and I had already been spotted and kind of set up, and I can't explain it right now, but I'm going to tell you my first memory of being hurt. But I want you to know it's not the first entrance of the first perpetrators. I learned later on. So I knew that I had to find a place to live, and while I was at the club singing this new one, I was introduced to this guy. They said he was security for one of the top bands that was on MTV in their heyday, and he's a great guy, and he's safe, and he has a room, and you could stay there for a little while. So I did, and the first night that I stayed there, I was gang raped, drugged first, and filmed. Now, I didn't know this at the time. I just knew someone had touched me and that I had to leave. So you have something in your system, not from doing drugs, but from being drugged. It's not like you're high. It's like they took away your memory from the time you went to sleep to the time you woke up. So your body's in trauma, your mind's in trauma, but you don't remember it. You just know something happened. And the next morning, they were evil. They were mocking and talking about sexual things. So I was out the door. Well, you don't just run home after that and go tell your family because you don't know if you're in danger. You know, you obviously are. So I went back to the club to my friends, and I said, this is what happened to me. And so there were people there, again, in this new place, that said, look, if you're not okay, you can come stay with us till you figure it out. Same thing he said. But I was really grateful because I wasn't safe. They did the same thing to me. It happened over and over again. It takes a while when someone is messing with your brain and someone has plotted to put you in a situation like this and is moving you around from place to place, and you think you're just running. People often say, why didn't you run? I did. So in all this, I realized I was being raped. I was being gang raped. It takes a while to figure out they're putting a drug in my system. I don't know what it is. It takes me a while to figure out a lot of people are watching this. And I just thought they had heard about it. Then I realized, okay, you're being filmed. But a lot of people are watching because someone's asking me for my autograph because they think I'm an actress. I was taken as a slave for pornography. And I have to tell you that the worst part of it for me, one of the worst parts, there was a lot, was that I saw the films at one point, and it not only looked like I was agreeable, but that I was enthusiastic about it, because the methods of control weren't just the drugs. I was shocked that the world was not the place I thought it was. That darkness was not a distant enemy, and I was just beginning to get a taste of it. So I went for help. I went to a hospital twice. Once, not in the lobby, back where a rape victim is held. Here's a private place for them. I was threatened by a woman that if I spoke, she told me what she would do or what would happen to me. Doctor came in and pulled me out. An advocate comes back and tells me, do you realize that you're a victim of a satanic crime? I mean, like, I'm almost dead. I'm like, how could it get worse? So I looked at her in shock and I went, no. But later on I did see it. I saw it a lot and I saw a lot of stuff. But I also went to the police. I was told they were involved. I was told they would arrest me. I was told some worse things. Found out it was true. They wouldn't help me. Went to a private doctor to find out what drug was being put in my system. If I lied about what was wrong with me, he would help me. But he seemed scared, not involved. I went to a women's organization that helps women that are sexually assaulted. 3 times they were involved. No help. Wouldn't even speak to me. So, you're probably thinking, what? This is America. How could this happen? Well, that's exactly what I was thinking. Can you imagine that moment? Thinking the police won't help you. No one will help you. So I thought about some things that I could tell you that I've learned that might be of a little help. And one of them is, I think older people would agree that in hindsight, you see trouble coming. That's about red flags. Now, I'm not saying that I saw it coming or you would ever expect this in your whole life, or that someone, basically I was taken, basically that's kidnapping. Any kidnapping victim that's trafficked, or a girl at a college party who's drugged, doesn't mean they knew that it was going to happen to them. But there are some cases in human trafficking where you may see red flags. One of them would be maybe someone romancing you online or in person. Kind of shows up, charming, maybe good looking. This could be a guy or a girl. And they come on strong, they move fast. And all I can tell you is that I understand the desire for love. But don't ignore red flags because you want love. It can destroy your life. And love will take its time. Another red flag would be a job that's too good to be true. Do you realize that I almost got trafficked twice besides this whole story? From job interviews. It's crazy out there. So all I want to tell you is make sure, I had a college student, one girl I worked with, she was a college graduate, went for a job in Texas, taken. A girl who went to a barbecue at her friend's uncle's house. He was a trafficker, taken. So I'm not saying that everywhere you go, you have to be freaked out about it, but I'm saying that don't ignore the red flags. Make sure people know where you're at, where you're going, and who you're talking to. Hope. Never let anyone tell you there's no hope. If you are hurt or someone else is, you go somewhere and they say, we can't help you, or we don't know what you're talking about, or there's nothing we can do. Keep going. Go to somebody else. If they say no, go to somebody else. And when it comes to yourself and others, I'm going to give you a little more information in a minute. Community is your best defense. community. A lot of criminals don't want to be around someone who's got so many friends and family connected to them that they're going to be looking for them and want to know what's going on. So your family, church, school, whatever group you're in, those are your best defenses. However, kidnappers really don't care about that stuff. So the other thing was, don't be afraid of a bad story. And by bad, I mean severe. Like this one where someone's been through a lot of trauma. Because when you just listen to them, they are so happy that someone's listening. But not only that, they're the smartest people. They have wisdom. They have a capacity for love that you can't believe. I talk to traumatized people all the time, and they've learned a lot, and they're great people. And so those are the treasures in the darkness. Don't be afraid of that. I want you to repeat after me, okay? Okay? Okay. I have the right to be safe.
I have the right to be safe.
Everyone has the right to be safe.
Everyone has the right to be safe.
No one has the right to devalue you or anyone else. That's what happens in pornography. It is one of the most used vehicles to promote trafficking because the men want to act out what they're seeing on film, and they use it in other ways also. So there's a thing called the social cost of pornography, and it was an overview by the top people in every field: psychiatry, psychology, law, neurophysiology. And this is a quote that they found, and I want to read this to you. Porn viewers develop new maps in their brains based on photos and videos they see. They compare it to rats in the cages of the National Institute of Health, pressing the bar to get a shot of dopamine. Though the viewer doesn't know it, they have been trained and seduced into training sessions, and they meet the conditions required for remapping their brain. There's also a Princeton University study. They did MRI scans on men watching porn. And I don't know who volunteered for this, seriously. But I guess we should thank them. Because they found out that men looked at the women more as objects, but this isn't an ethical perspective. This was the part of their brain that looks at an object was lit up. The part of their brain, which is different, that looks at a human being, was silent. It was changing their brain. There is two other scientific things that came up about porn, about changing the brain and the chemistry in the body. And so I'm not bringing this up to say, what are you watching? But I'm bringing this up to let you know, and I've had men be really thankful for this, because I believe this makes you a slave just as much as the victim of trafficking. So who are you hanging out with? You know, they say when you're young, your parents will say, be careful who you hang out with. It could change your life. Don't hang out with the wrong people. Well, the internet is a place to hang out. And besides pornography, there's sites like Kick, a 12-year-old girl. I get a call from her grandmother. The father found out she'd been talking to a boy she thought was a boy. It was a grown man from Dubai, locating her pictures with her school and everything else on it, wanting to take off with her, is what I was assuming from the phone call. They had to shut it down quick. She was almost gone. The purpose of evil is either to make you a victim or a perpetrator. It wants to numb you to the pain of another person, and it wants to distance you from your own humanity. But there's more than one power in this world. And so when I heard about, oh, it's a satanic crime, the first thing I thought of was this picture next to my bed when I was a little girl that I asked my mom to buy for me. I had this picture forever, and it was of Jesus holding one sheep. And I thought, if this guy's real, then this guy's real. And that's where I went. And it wasn't easy, and it took a long time. But what I learned was that these powers are not equal. Love and goodness is stronger. And it seems passive because it asks you to forgive. It says, don't exchange evil for evil. But I'm telling you, when you're obedient to that, there's a power that rises up and love takes care of you. So we have a plan. We are not going to have a rape culture, as they call it, where middle school, high school, college girls have to be afraid of being raped and the school won't stand up for them. Where did we hear about that? Right across the street? What happened? You guys, the public, spoke up, got on social media, and I'm telling you, no matter what happened, that judge and that victim were changed by your presence. It made a difference, and that's what I'm asking you to do, is to make a difference. And I'm asking you to do this for rape victims, because when you allow that in your culture, you're opening the door. You're not safe either. So this is a community that cares and a support system. I'm going to give you a phone number. This is the National Human Trafficking Hotline. It is not the police. You can call anonymously. If you see somebody, you think maybe they're a victim, or someone says, I need help, or you need help, you can call them. Put this on your cell phone now, or write it down. It is 1-888-3737-888. I want to ask my volunteers from the high school across the bay to stand up. Would you guys, where are you guys? Can you guys stand up wherever you're at? Would you look at them? If you know of a victim, or you just need help, or you have any questions or want to contact me, go to them on your way out to lunch, see where they're sitting, and they'll give you my contact information. Thank you. And I just want to tell you that, first of all, thank you for acknowledging me as a trailblazer, because it can get messy at times. And not because trailblazers do things haphazardly, but because when you push the envelope and you shake the apple cart or rearrange the furniture, people get shook up. They can get afraid. They can get angry. They can even discourage you with good intentions. But I promise you, if you stand your ground and you endure, you will accomplish what you set out to do. Thank you so much for having me.